Intermission 1. I'm sorry for hurting you before. The white bear sniffed and tapped its nose against Alouette's clasped hands. Everything was all right. It grunted and beckoned them to follow. They were headed for the town of Callum. Alouette buckled against Guillot. If alone, she would have berated herself for not having the energy left to make the trip. But now, he was here. Guillot lifted Alouette into his arms and carried her the entire way as she dozed off. Summer's dawn was still several hours away. Worrying about the remaining spring night's chilliness, he laid his scarf over her stomach. She thanked him and held on. Why was she a death witch? Was her past self obsessed with it, or had another force granted her the affinity? The two mulled this over during the silent journey, but it was a clue with no leads. Guillot didn't judge her. He continued to carry her, vowing to protect the girl that he now recognized as precious. They walked for hours until the sun's faint light peeked past the horizon. Alouette fell in and out of a light slumber until she spotted warm street lamps and tiled rooftops in the distance. The bear led them to the heart of the town. Past the square stood a rustic 3-story building, somewhat like a house and quite like a museum. Raising its paw, the bear used the door's knocker like a civilized citizen, while maneuvering with the awkwardness of, well, a bear. It took a good minute and a few more bangs. A man with messy, sandy hair answered, yawning as he adjusted his monocle and loose robes. Ko Hu-Ren's clothes were considered an elegant spectacle on the mainland, but the sloppy, single-layered sleeping gown on him was somewhat less impressive. Number 110? What brings you here? He asked the bear before noticing the other two. Oh my, what happened? Are you okay? The girl couldn't hold back her emotions when she met his warm eyes. He didn't reek of death, and neither did this town. In a moment of vulnerability, she craned over to him as if clinging to life itself. Guillot had expected her to stop at that, but Alouette reached and fell from his gauntlets. Without uttering a cry, she slammed shoulder first into the cobbled pavement. Alarmed, Guillot and the man gathered her. The latter asked if she was in pain. What was she even trying to do? Alouette shook her head, clutching and weeping into his sleeve. You're a normal person. You're a normal person, she sobbed. What started as a few tears turned into bawling in the street. Everything hit her at once: confusion, frustration, fear, relief, and gratitude. There weren't many things left in this world that could give this man pause. However, this girl's tears reflected a mirror of the past, of the little boy named Guillaume waiting on those altar steps, waiting in a cell of the commune's basement, waiting years for someone to save him until that fateful autumn day. It was his time to help others, and he would do it better than that grumpy cartography ever would, of course. Gentle hands on Alouette's shoulders pulled her away so she could see his reassuring smile. He helped her back into Guillot's worried arms. I'm still a witch, miss. You ought to withhold judgment a bit longer. After smoothing the creases in his robes, he held open the door to the museum. Shimmering light and the clinking voices of curious antiques drifted through the air. I am Artifact. Please, make yourselves at home. Phew. And that's the end to the first part of the story. How did you like it so far? Here's a fun fact about production. This all started from a Japanese hashtag in February 2018 that translates to, "Let's meet at the witch's gathering." People drew witch OCs, and Baten posted the concept of what would become Alouette and Guillot. 5 years later, she began actually writing the story in July 2023, and here we are now. Thank you for watching our stage, which is possible thanks to our patrons, and of course, you all listening. If you know someone who might enjoy this story, consider sharing it. It helps out a lot. Well then, take a moment to stand, stretch, and relax for the intermission. We'll be beginning again shortly.